I fell into the temptation and spent the night with his boss. He pretended he had no clue, but then, hey Reddit, I used to be a huge fan of this app years ago, but it's been a while since I've actually been on here. I made a very huge mistake yesterday and the guilt has been eating into me. I messed around with my husband's boss and I do not know how to tell my husband or if I should even tell him. I'm a little scared, to be honest. I feel like my husband might never forgive me again. It was just a mistake, and if I could honestly turn back the hands of the clock, I would. I would never betray my husband. A little bit of backstory on us. My name is Olivia, and my husband's name is Nathan. Nathan and I met in high school, and we immediately developed a relationship. We liked each other, and we matched quite well. It was great, really. We started dating all the way up into college and even past our graduation, but we only got married a few months ago. Not because of anything, but because we had been saving money for our marriage as we wanted it to be great. That was why it took so long to get married. I am 27 years old and my husband Nathan is 26. We both work, but Nathan earns way more than I do. As a result of that, we adjust the bills, payments, and chores to fit that. I cover 30% of the bills and Nathan covers 70%, but that also means that I cover about 60% of the chores, while Nathan covers the remaining 40%. It is an arrangement that has worked for us for a very long time, as we have been living together for years. Now things were really great between us, apart from our intimacy. We had been having a bit of a dry spell for several reasons. First of all, Nathan was very busy because of his job. He tried, honestly, but the workload and the pressure of saving for a house weighed heavily on him. It was like he was carrying the weight of our future on his shoulders. Another reason was my weight. I am no fool, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I knew I was overweight. I had gone through a really dark phase in my life after my dad died. We had been very close, and the loss hit me badly. I started spiraling, lost my job, and turned to food as my escape. Thankfully, Nathan stayed by me despite it all, and never once did he complain. He helped me get into therapy, and even though it took me a while to finally start helping myself, he was with me throughout it all. I'm still overweight, but I'm trying my best to help myself. Nathan had been the one covering all the bills and house chores, so the moment I got a job, I started contributing the 30%. I do feel that ever since then, our intimacy has dwindled down so much. I feel like he does not find me attractive anymore because of my weight. Gaining weight is pretty easy, but losing weight is the hard work. Anytime I try to engage him in intimacy, he is either too tired or not in the mood. It's not just about physical attraction, it's about feeling desirable and wanted. I miss that connection we used to have, where we could just be ourselves and enjoy each other's company without these barriers. Nathan's busyness also became a source of resentment for me. It felt like he was always occupied with work or some project, and that left little time for us to connect intimately. I started to feel neglected and unimportant, like I was second to everything else in his life. Adding to my frustration was the fact that Nathan remained in great shape while I struggled with my weight. He hadn't let himself go like me. He knew how to control his portions and stick to a healthy diet. That was something I found myself resenting about him. It was a constant reminder of my own struggles and failures in managing my weight. Nathan would often try to compliment me, telling me how beautiful I was and how much he loved me just the way I was. While I appreciated his words, they didn't resonate with me because I didn't feel beautiful in my own skin. I struggled to accept my body and how it had changed over the years. I even decided to join the gym because I hoped it would help me shed some weight and boost my confidence. However, gymming wasn't as easy as people made it seem. It was a constant battle with myself. I had to force myself to push through workouts and try to stay motivated. And despite all these months of effort, the scale barely budged, and I felt so discouraged. I knew it wasn't just the gym's fault. It was also my own struggle with controlling what I ate. I tried to be mindful of my portions and make healthier choices, but it was challenging. Food had been my comfort during tough times, and breaking those habits was a real struggle. The combination of Nathan's busyness, his fit physique, and my own weight issues created this huge rift between us. I felt like I couldn't measure up to his standards, and it weighed heavily on our relationship. Nathan noticed how much I hated my body, especially when it came to controlling what I ate. When we ate together, he gently nudged me to take smaller portions, saying my body would adapt over time. It was kind of him, but I resented it. I knew deep down that Nathan was only trying to help me and support me in achieving my goals, but I couldn't help but resent him for it. It felt like he was policing my food intake, and it made me feel inadequate and frustrated. I wanted to be able to make these choices for myself, without someone constantly monitoring what I ate. I knew he did it out of concern, but still it felt like he was micromanaging my meals. At times, I would push back against his suggestions, insisting that I knew what was best for me. Of course, this only worsened the rift between us, even though I knew he meant well. Things continued in this strained manner for a while. When Nathan had some free time and suggested a date night or watching a movie together, I often shut down the idea. I couldn't shake the feeling that he was only doing it out of courtesy, not genuine desire. Even when he invited me to join him at the gym, I would get defensive and angry. It felt like he was indirectly calling me fat, and that hurt. During a rough patch, I got super paranoid and started thinking Nathan might be cheating, even though he never showed any signs. I snooped through his phone, laptop, and even his emails, and even got a friend to spy on him at work, but found nothing. It was just my anxiety running wild, making me doubt everything. I knew Nathan wasn't the cheating type too. It was just my mind playing tricks on me. During that time, Nathan mentioned there would be a work party or dinner. At first, I said no because I wasn't feeling up to it. Nathan just went along with it, which weirdly made me mad. It was like he was okay with me not going because he thought I'd make him look bad. Maybe he thought I was too fat and that I'd embarrass him there. So I changed my mind and said I'd go. Nathan didn't argue, which surprised me. On the day of the party, I put on my outfit, Nathan did too, and off we went. Surprisingly, I had a blast. I half expected judgmental looks or snide comments about my weight, but everyone treated me normally. It was a breath of fresh air. I indulged a bit, enjoying the food and drinks. As the night wound down, Nathan went to chat with his friends for a bit before we left. That's when his boss came over. I knew of Nathan's boss, but hadn't interacted much with him. He was friendly, and his charm drew me in. He suggested we dance, and though I hesitated, I agreed. The dancing was harmless, or so I thought. I noticed Nathan turned to glance at us briefly, and he frowned like he wasn't glad I was dancing with his boss, but I brushed it off as nothing. As we danced, his boss's compliments boosted my confidence. He was funny and charming, and he made me forget my insecurities for a while. When the dance ended, he surprised me by giving me his personal card. He told me to text him. I didn't expect it, but I took it because I felt flattered. As we left the party, I resolved to toss the card in the car and forget about it. I figured I'd mention it to Nathan casually, just to be transparent. When Nathan joined me after saying his goodbyes, I asked him about his reaction to seeing me dance with his boss. He brushed it off and said his boss was an odd and flirtatious person, nothing more. Once we reached home, I found myself holding onto the card instead of discarding it as planned. I didn't even tell Nathan like I had initially planned to. The idea of contacting Nathan's boss was on my mind, and despite telling myself I would throw it away, curiosity got the better of me. I thought about it for hours, even after Nathan and I had gone to bed. Eventually, I couldn't resist the urge and sent a quick message to his boss. I waited for a few minutes, but I didn't get a reply, so I went to bed. The next morning, I woke up to a text from Nathan's boss. It was a simple message, but that was what sparked a flurry of texts between us. He made me feel wanted in a way I hadn't felt in a long time. His compliments about my appearance, including my weight, struck a chord with my insecurities. Soon I was up to him about my struggles and doubts, and he always responded with understanding and reassurance. We started talking even more, and we were even outright flirting with each other. Nathan started noticing that I was spending more time on my phone than usual, and he asked about it. I brushed him off, of course, and lied that I was busy because I had just recently gotten into content creation. Surprisingly, Nathan accepted my excuse without much further questioning, although it was obvious he was very curious about it. Nathan's boss seemed to understand me in a way Nathan hadn't in a long time. I loved his attention and validation. After a few days of our crazy flirting and chatting, Justin, as I'll call Nathan's boss to protect his privacy, suggested meeting up for coffee. I instantly agreed without even any hesitation or even thinking about it. It had been ages since I had a proper outing. While I still kept in touch with friends, I had distanced myself from social gatherings, especially after my weight gain. I often rejected invitations to go out, even when they included both Nathan and me. I felt very self-conscious and ashamed of my appearance. Our coffee date was very pleasant and I enjoyed it a lot. Justin was charming and easy to talk to, and after we finished our drinks, he casually suggested we head back to his apartment. Initially, I was hesitant, but convinced myself that it was harmless. I reasoned that we would just watch a movie or two, and I would maintain a clear boundary. But obviously, that's not what happened. I ended up crossing lines I never thought I would. We headed back to his apartment, and I noticed that it was a bit dirty, but otherwise comfortable. He assured me that he hadn't had time to clean, that he wasn't married yet, and that he didn't have a partner, so it was just him. We chatted for a while and started watching a movie, but before I knew it, one thing led to another, and we were now sitting very close to each other. His hands started creeping up my thighs, and I honestly couldn't control myself. We started making out, and then we moved to his bedroom, where we then proceeded to have sex repeatedly. After we hooked up, I felt like a complete idiot. Justin's attitude changed instantly. He was all friendly and charming before. It was as if a switch had just flipped in Justin's head. He suddenly told me I needed to get up and leave because his roommate would arrive soon. I was surprised because he had initially told me that he lived alone, and he didn't even have a girlfriend or anybody. And now all of a sudden he had a roommate. I asked him about it, and he said he must have made a mistake. I quickly got dressed. I was now feeling regret creeping in. Justin didn't even bother walking me out. He just rushed me to leave. I had to call an Uber because my car was still at home with some issues Nathan promised to fix in the evening. While sitting in that Uber, all I could think about was how dumb I was to get myself into that situation. When I got home, Nathan still wasn't back, which was a relief in a way. I took a quick shower, changed into comfy clothes, and made myself something to eat. I just could not shake off the feeling of regret and guilt that was weighing me down. I decided to shoot Justin a text, telling him off for how he treated me. I said he shouldn't have rushed me out and been so rude. I waited for a reply, but nada. It was like a slap in my face. By the time Nathan returned home, I had gone through a roller coaster of thoughts and feelings. It hit me hard that I wanted to save my marriage, to fix the mess I'd created. I knew confessing to Nathan might destroy everything, but I also couldn't bear the weight of this secret eating away at me. I took a step forward by cooking dinner for us. I was really hoping to bridge the gap I'd created. I apologized sincerely, and to my surprise and relief, Nathan appreciated my effort and accepted my apology. That happened yesterday. I'm currently on my lunch break and writing this because I haven't really been able to concentrate. I don't know what to do. I feel like if I do not tell Nathan, guilt will continue to eat at me, but I also cannot tell him because I do not want him to dump me. As for Justin, he has blocked me. He didn't reply to my text last night, and when I checked this morning, it was pretty obvious that he had blocked me, so there's that. I would really appreciate any help or advice on how to go about fixing this. Update. Hey Reddit, wow, my post has blown up way more than I ever anticipated. It's been 2 days since I posted, and the response has been overwhelming. I've tried my best to read through all the comments, both positive and negative. I've also received a flood of DMs, some supportive and others not so much. I want to address the negativity first. I understand that some people think I'm delusional or stupid for sharing my story after cheating on my husband. I just needed a place to rant and clear my head, hence why I posted. Some people also said this had to be rage bait because I sounded so delusional. Let me be clear, this is my reality right now, and I'm not here to provoke or incite rage. I appreciate the constructive criticism and the kind words equally. The majority of comments advised me to own up and tell my husband about what happened. While I understand where that advice is coming from, after much reflection and even consulting my elder sister, I've decided against it. My sister suggested that it might be best to move forward without divulging this to my husband, especially since Justin has cut off all contact with me by blocking me. I've taken her advice to heart, and I'll be focusing my energy on rebuilding my marriage and moving forward. Thank you all for your time and insights. I may not update again unless something significant occurs. For now, I'll be putting my efforts into repairing the damage I've caused in my marriage and looking towards a better future for me and my husband. Take care, everyone. Update. Hey everyone, I wanted to share a little update on what's been happening since my last post. I've been putting a lot of effort into rebuilding my relationship with my husband. One of the things I've been focusing on is creating more quality time together. I've been trying to get him to go out on date nights with me, and thankfully he's been receptive to the idea. We've had some really nice moments reconnecting and enjoying each other's company. Another area I've been working on is taking charge of household responsibilities. I've completely taken over the chores, and honestly, I don't even want my husband to help out anymore. It's my way of showing him that I'm committed to making things right and easing some of the burdens he's been carrying. On a personal level, I've been hitting the gym more regularly. It's been a really tough journey, and I still struggle with controlling my portions and maintaining consistency, but I'm determined to achieve my fitness goals. I dream of having a body that I feel confident and comfortable in, and I'm taking steps every day to get there. Now I want to address something that's been bothering me. I've been receiving some really hurtful messages from people calling me names and making derogatory comments about my weight. Some people have been calling me fat cow, and that fat people are the worst kind of people. To those individuals, I want to say this: your words are cruel and unnecessary. Fat shaming has no place here or anywhere else. We're all on our own journeys, and kindness and understanding should always be our default mode. If you can't offer that, then please keep your negativity to yourself. I appreciate the support and encouragement from those who have been kind and understanding throughout this process. It means a lot to me, honestly. Update. Hey everyone, I'm back with another update on what's been happening in my life. I know I said my last update might be the final one, but many of you have expressed interest in hearing more about my journey, so here I am. A lot of you all said my marriage was a ticking time bomb, but joke's on you all, it's solid. It's been about 5 days since everything went down, like the whole cheating and stuff, so obviously there haven't really been any significant developments. But my husband and I have been having conversations about starting a family and the possibility of me becoming a stay-at-home mom. This is something we've both been considering for a while, and now feels like the right time to take that step. As for my job, well, let's just say my boss hasn't always been the most supportive or understanding person. I've decided to leave and will be giving my notice soon. I'll probably give just a week's notice since my boss doesn't really deserve a formal 2-week notice. It's a job I've come to despise, and I'm looking forward to leaving it behind. Everything seems a bit all rushed and quick, but it just feels right. Once I'm home, I plan to start focusing on trying for a baby, and then preparing for the arrival of our baby, and being there for them as they grow up. Nathan, my husband, also recently got a promotion, which means he'll be in a better position to provide for us financially. This gives me peace of mind knowing that I can devote myself fully to our family without worrying about financial problems. So that's where things stand at the moment. I'll keep you all updated if anything major happens. Update. I'm here with an update that I never thought I would have to share. You were all right. My marriage, which I thought was on the mend, turned out to be a ticking time bomb, and it finally exploded. You all were absolutely right. My husband knew. He knew all this time, and he strung me along like an idiot. And he even made me quit my job. I feel so distraught right now, I don't even know what to say. It all happened yesterday, or I should say earlier yesterday. My mother-in-law invited us over for dinner. It was a seemingly innocent family gathering. We went there, and everything seemed fine at first. We were chatting up and catching up because my husband's parents didn't really live very close to us. So we didn't see them regularly except on family functions or events. My husband, in the calmest tone that sent shivers down my spine, casually mentioned that I had cheated on him with his boss. It was like a punch in the gut. I froze. Everyone froze. It was shocking, of course. That wasn't just something you blurted out. And the way my husband had calmly said it, as if he was just telling his mom about the weather. My father-in-law then asked him what he meant, and that was when my husband turned to me and told them to ask me. He told me that I was stupid if I thought I could just cheat on him with his boss of all people, and that I could get away with it. I tried to deny it at first, asking where he got such an idea. He didn't mince words. He told me that his boss was promiscuous and wasn't the kind of person to hide his wins. He said the boss had literally all but announced it to everyone in the office that he had slept with me, and that it was embarrassing having his coworkers come tell him what the boss had said. He said that at first he didn't want to believe the boss, and that he had come home that night, and after I had gone to bed, he had checked my phone, and that I had tons of messages, planning to meet up, blatantly flirting with him and even messaging him after I had slept with him. He said I was stupid, and I was even more stupid if I thought I would be able to get away with it. This was when I started crying because I felt so overwhelmed and shocked. I started crying because I genuinely didn't know what to do. He didn't yell. He didn't scream. He told me that we were getting a divorce and that he had just been waiting for a while till he was in a better place mentally. Then he apologized to his parents and he left. Mind you, we came in the same car, so that meant I was stranded without a ride. I was so embarrassed I hurried after him, but he just left me and drove off. I was too ashamed to ask anybody for a ride home, so I had to call an Uber. I felt so humiliated, ashamed, and lost. However, when I called the Uber and got home, our apartment was empty, bare of everything except my clothes. He had moved out while we were at his parents' house. But how had he been able to move out when we were both at his parents' house together? I had a breakdown right there. I sunk to the floor and cried uncontrollably. I've been trying to reach him, but he's not responding. He is not taking my calls or my texts. His friends are avoiding me too. They are also not responding to my calls or my texts. I'm left here alone, trying to make sense of everything. I don't know what to do or where to go from here. I had to spread some of my clothes and sleep on the bare floor because I was just too tired to even move or even leave the house. I never thought my life would unravel like this, but here I am, facing the consequences of my actions. This fallout from my marriage feels like a wrecked battlefield with no clear path forward. I guess you all can gloat and laugh now. Bring out the drums rolls. I can already hear the "I told you so" comments coming, and I'm just here wondering where to even start picking up the pieces. But I do seriously need some advice. What do I do? Where do I go from here? Is there any way to even salvage my marriage? How the fuck did he manage to make such a clean break while we were all together at his parents' house? It doesn't add up, and I'm sure his friends must have played a role in helping him pull off this well-teamed escape. I'm sure he must have been planning this for a while. And if there is no way to salvage my marriage and we do go to court, what am I going to get out of the marriage? We were saving up to buy a house, but we hadn't bought it yet because I was a bit slow on savings. Obviously, he earns way more than I do. The lease is in my name because I had rented it first and then he moved in with me. We didn't even bother getting his name added on the lease because we thought there was no need. But everything in the apartment belongs to him, and that was why he took it. When he had moved in, we lived together for years before we decided to throw away or give away much of our old stuff and replace them all with new stuff after my dad died. Nathan felt like it would be nice because cleaning and getting new stuff always made someone feel better. Like the TV, the refrigerator, the bed, all those shit. We replaced them and he had been the one to pay for them all because I didn't even have a job then. Like I said before, I was really struggling then. So everything that he took belongs to him. He even took my car. It is in his name, yes, and he has been the one making payments on it. But still, he took it. How did he take it? We have 2 cars. That means someone must have helped him drive the other. So yeah, that has all been what I've gone down. I'm honestly going to try and get something to eat right now because I am hungry. And I couldn't care less about my weight now. I'm probably going to come back here and update. And if you do have any helpful advice for me or something like that, I would really appreciate it if you could drop it down in the comments. And please, if you know you're going to comment something vile and wicked or come into my DMs to taunt and laugh and rub salt on my wounds, then please do not. I might swing back here to update as things unfold. And like I said before, if anyone has constructive advice or helpful insights, please do share them. But if it's just going to be negativity or mockery, I'd rather not engage with that right now. Update. Hey Reddit, it's been 2 days, and while not much has changed, there have been some developments I want to share with you all. First off, a huge thanks to everyone who gave me solid advice, especially about seeking therapy. I'm definitely going to do that once things settle down a bit. As for my job, well, let's just say I didn't leave on the best of terms. I pretty much gave my boss an indirect fuck you and a piece of my mind, so I doubt there's any chance of salvaging that job. Once I'm in a better place mentally, I'll start looking for a new one. A lot of you suggested letting go of the marriage and going for a divorce, and that's exactly what's happening. I tried to work things out, but Nathan isn't interested. He's fixated on the fact that I cheated and lied, conveniently forgetting his own scheming during that week. He made sure to leave in the absolute worst way because he wanted me to feel horrible. Seriously, who's the bigger jerk here? Nathan finally reached out, but there wasn't much to say. He claimed everything he took from the apartment was rightfully his since he bought it. Can't argue with that. But I did express my disappointment that he didn't give me a heads up before I quit my job. I tried to bait him into admitting he planned it all, because I was hoping it could serve as evidence in court, but he's playing it smart and denying everything in texts. He's hinted that I'll be served soon, probably divorce papers. My in-laws are radio silent. It's pretty obvious whose side they've taken. I haven't even told my own family yet because I'm still processing everything. Without Nathan's income, I can't afford the lease alone, so I'll have to find a roommate or find a new place altogether. I'm a mess right now, honestly confused and distraught. Nathan did also admit that his buddies helped him move out and clear the apartment while we were at his parents' place. That was like a punch to the gut, so his friends were part of this mess. My eating has gone off the rails. I'm stress eating like there's no tomorrow. I'm ignoring portion control completely. It's crazy because I am now blowing through my savings faster than I thought possible. Anyway, that's where things stand for now. I'll keep you updated if anything big happens. And to the nice folks out there, thanks a ton. To the haters and the ones screaming, "I told you so," seriously, just stop. You're not helping anyone. And to the ones damning me and commenting shitty stuff, you have a place in hell waiting specially for you. Update. Hey Reddit, how are y'all doing? Almost 2 weeks now. I've been updating quite frequently because venting here feels therapeutic. Here's the rundown of what's happened in these 2 weeks. First off, I got served with the divorce papers. No surprises there, and I'm fine with it. There's not much to divide, so whatever Nathan's terms are, I'm just going along with it. It's becoming clear to me that Nathan was seriously manipulative and vindictive. Who in their right mind hides something like that for a week just to exact revenge? Only someone pretty twisted, someone like a psychopath. I reached out to my siblings, especially my elder sister, who advised me not to confess to Nathan in the first place. I also talked to my mom. They were shocked but understanding. They get that we all screw up sometimes. Money is becoming a concern, though. I do have savings, but if I take on the lease and rent by myself without a job in sight, I'll burn through it fast. Plus, being on my own means no one's around to guilt-trip me about my eating habits, which isn't helping my weight goals. I'm supposed to be losing weight, not gaining it. My sister suggested I break the lease and move back in with our mom. I talked to Mom, and she's okay with it. So I informed the landlord, gave notice, packed up my stuff, mostly clothes, called an Uber, and made the move to Mom's place. It's been about 3 days, and it's honestly a relief. Sure, I messed up and they let me know, but they also understand. Now I'll be heading to court soon, so I won't be updating during that time. I'm not sure if it's legal or not, but I'd rather not take any chances. I'll fill you all in once it's all wrapped up. Thanks for the supportive DMs, workout plans, and healthy food tips. It means a lot. Update. Hey Reddit, it's been ages, almost 4 months since my last update. Sorry for the delay. Life got hectic and I kind of forgot about this space. A lot has happened and I feel it's time to fill you in before I move on for good. This will likely be my final post here, as I'm ready to close this chapter and focus on the future. The negativity here has been overwhelming. There have been positive comments, yes, but the negative ones definitely overshadow the positive ones, and I don't want that toxicity in my life. So the divorce happened. There wasn't much to divide since we both had jobs and he contributed majorly to our expenses. No shared property or major assets. It was a straightforward split, but it still hit me emotionally. I had a quiet moment in the bathroom to cry for a bit and gather my strength. It kind of hurts that Nathan moved on so quick, but what can I say, life goes on, I guess. It's hard to fathom how someone I've spent more than half of my life with could seemingly forget about our history and move on so rapidly like it never mattered. Despite the negative comments, I get it. I've accepted my mistakes and learned from them. Your negativity can't bring me down. I'm moving forward. I appreciate the support and well wishes from those who offered them. Thank you all. I wish you all the best in life, and I hope things turn around for me as well. I won't repeat the same mistakes. Update. Hey Reddit, it's been a while, and I know I said the last time would be my final update, but I genuinely promise this is going to be it. It's been about a month since I last checked in. I did mention deleting the app, but I didn't follow through. Instead, I randomly decided to come back and see what's been happening in the comments and DMs. The response has been overwhelming since this post blew up more than I expected. People kept asking for updates, and I've even seen snippets of my story on TikTok and Instagram, those narrated videos with Minecraft backgrounds. So here's what's been going on in my life. First off, I managed to shed a few pounds. It's not a drastic change, and I'm still overweight, but I'm glad I didn't gain weight and instead made progress. I had taken a break from the gym for a while, but I got back into it about a week ago, and I'm determined to stay consistent. It's tough, especially with stress eating creeping in, especially after everything with Nathan. I've also been considering therapy. I haven't booked an appointment yet, still searching for the right therapist, but it's something I'm actively looking into. On the job front, it's been challenging. I've been applying for various positions, but most seem to offer minimum wage, which I'm not keen on accepting given my qualifications and experience. I've been exploring call center jobs for now, but I'm committed to finding a better paying job and cutting ties with these lower paying options once I do. So this is genuinely my last update. I won't be able to keep coming back to share every detail of my life. Thanks to everyone for the support and interest. It's been quite a journey, and I'm optimistic about what lies ahead. Goodbye, and I hope you all have a good life. Hey Reddit, long-time lurker her but first-time poster. I feel like this story of mine, it's a very personal story, but I feel like it's something that is really worth sharing. My husband disappeared suddenly, ghosted me, and then sent divorce papers for no reason. When I thought we were happy, and then years later, he reappears. Some backstory, first of all. My name is Vivian, and I'm a 34-year-old woman. My ex-husband's name is Jason, and he is a 35-old man. We've been married for about 3 years. We met while we were in college. I wasn't really looking to date back then, as I had just been out of a bad relationship. But he seemed really interested in me, and he was very nice, so I decided to give him a chance. Our first date was a mix of nerves and excitement, like stepping onto a roller coaster for the first time. Jason had this way of making me feel at ease despite my jumbled thoughts and racing heart. We decided on a cozy Italian restaurant downtown, where the aroma of garlic and tomatoes welcomed us as we walked in. I remember how he smiled when he saw me, that genuine smile that reached his eyes and made me feel special. We talked about everything under the sun, from our favorite movies to our dreams for the future. There was never a dull moment, and laughter filled the air as we shared stories and jokes. The evening progressed, and I found myself drawn to his kindness and intelligence. He listened attentively, asked thoughtful questions, and made me feel like I could be myself without any pretense. It was refreshing, to say the least. By the end of the night, we both knew that this was just the beginning of something beautiful. Walking back to our cars, he held my hand, and in that simple gesture, I felt a connection that went beyond words. I was so thankful that I had given him a chance. For our second date, Jason surprised me with tickets to a local art exhibit, knowing my passion for creativity and expression. I still remember us wandering through the galleries. I couldn't help but admire his genuine interest in the artworks and the way he appreciated each piece for its unique beauty. We shared our thoughts on the various paintings and sculptures, discussing colors, meanings, and the emotions they evoked. It was fascinating to see how differently we interpreted certain pieces, yet found common ground in our appreciation for art's ability to stir something deep within us. After the exhibit, we strolled through a nearby park, enjoying the crisp evening air and the tranquil atmosphere. We talked about our families, childhood memories, and our hopes for the future. There was a sense of ease and comfort in our conversations, as if we had known each other for much longer than just a couple of dates. As the night drew to a close, Jason suggested grabbing dessert at a charming cafe nearby. We got slices of decadent cheesecake and cups of rich coffee. We continued to delve into our dreams and aspirations, sharing more of ourselves with each passing moment. By the end of the evening, I knew that Jason was someone special, someone I could envision building a life with. On our third date, Jason surprised me with a spontaneous road trip to the countryside. It was a beautiful sunny day, and the open road stretched out before us, promising adventure and new experiences. We started our journey early in the morning, the car filled with excitement and anticipation. Jason had packed a picnic basket with delicious treats, and we planned to find a scenic spot to enjoy our lunch amidst nature's beauty. As we drove, we played our favorite music and engaged in lively conversations about everything under the sun. From silly childhood memories to deep philosophical ponderings, our discussions flowed effortlessly. It was just easy. Our first stop was at a picturesque lake surrounded by lush greenery. We found a cozy spot under a tree, spread out a blanket, and savored our picnic delights while basking in the beauty and peacefulness of our surroundings. After our refreshing meal, we took a leisurely stroll along the lake shore, holding hands and sharing quiet moments of contentment. As the day progressed, we explored quaint villages, stopped at roadside attractions, and indulged in impromptu adventures. From sampling local delicacies to trying our hand at a friendly game of mini golf, every moment was fun and beautiful. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, we made our way back home, hearts full of happy memories and a growing certainty that our connection was something truly special. On our fourth date, Jason surprised me with a romantic evening under the stars. It was a clear night, with the moon casting a gentle glow over the city, creating a magical atmosphere perfect for our time together. Jason had reserved a table at a rooftop restaurant known for its breathtaking views. As we arrived, I couldn't help but be impressed by the stunning panorama of city lights twinkling below us. The ambiance was intimate yet lively, setting the stage for a memorable evening. We started our dinner with delightful appetizers, savoring each bite while engaging in meaningful conversations. Jason had a way of making me feel truly listened to, and our discussions ranged from our dreams and aspirations to our favorite books and movies. As the main course arrived, our connection deepened further as we shared personal stories and childhood memories. The laughter and warmth between us were palpable. We had this undeniable chemistry that seemed to grow stronger with each passing moment. After dinner, Jason suggested we take a stroll along the rooftop terrace. The cool night air was refreshing, and the view from above was simply breathtaking. We found a cozy corner with a comfortable seating area where we continued our conversation under the starlit sky. Time seemed to slip away as we talked about our hopes for the future, our shared values, and the deepening feelings we had for each other. The evening felt like a scene from a romantic movie, with every moment etched in my memory as something truly special. As the night drew to a close, Jason surprised me once again by presenting a bouquet of my favorite flowers. His thoughtful gesture touched my heart, and I knew in that moment that I was falling for him more deeply than I had ever imagined. And then after several months of dating and growing closer, Jason and I made the exciting decision to move in together. It was a big step in our relationship, but one that felt natural and right for both of us. We spent weeks searching for the perfect place that would be our shared sanctuary, a place where we could build our future together. Finally, we found a charming apartment in a vibrant neighborhood that we both loved. The process of moving in was both exhilarating and nerve-wracking. We sorted through our belongings, deciding what to keep, donate, or store. It was a time of merging our lives, blending our tastes and creating a space that reflected our combined personalities. As we settled into our new home, we discovered the joys and challenges of living together. We navigated daily routines, shared household responsibilities, and learned more about each other's habits and quirks. Despite the occasional differences and adjustments, moving in together strengthened our bond. We enjoyed cooking meals together, cozy evenings watching movies, and weekend adventures exploring our neighborhood. Our home became a place of comfort, laughter, and love. It was where we celebrated milestones, supported each other through challenges, and created cherished memories. After we graduated from college, Jason surprised me with a romantic proposal. It was a beautiful evening, and he took me to our favorite spot overlooking the city. With a heart full of love and excitement, he got down on one knee and asked me to marry him. I was overjoyed, and without hesitation, I said yes. It was a moment I had dreamed of, imagining spending the rest of my life with him by my side. However, we both agreed that before diving into wedding plans, we wanted to take some time to save up and plan for our future together. We knew that marriage would bring new responsibilities and expenses, so we wanted to be financially prepared. We set our goals, created a budget, and started saving diligently. It was a period of anticipation, looking forward to the day when we could officially start our journey as husband and wife. During this time, we continued to deepen our bond, exploring new adventures, and building a strong foundation for our life together. We talked about our dreams, our aspirations, and what we wanted for our future family. Saving for our wedding was honestly more than just a financial goal. It was a symbol of our commitment and dedication to each other. It was a time of anticipation and excitement, knowing that our love was growing stronger with each passing day. The decision to get married was one we didn't take lightly. After Jason's heartfelt proposal and my enthusiastic yes, we knew we wanted our wedding to be a special celebration of our love and commitment. However, we also knew that it would take time and effort to plan the perfect day. It took us a while to save well enough for our wedding, and we started by creating a wedding budget, a detailed spreadsheet outlining all the expenses from venue rentals to floral arrangements and catering costs. It was eye-opening to see how quickly everything added up, but we were determined to stick to our budget and make smart financial decisions. Next came the venue search. We visited several locations from rustic barns to elegant ballrooms, weighing the pros and cons of each. Eventually, we found the perfect venue that matched our vision and accommodated our guest list comfortably. With the venue secured, we moved on to other crucial aspects like choosing a theme and color scheme. We wanted our wedding to reflect our personalities, so we opted for a romantic garden theme with soft pastel colors and floral accents. The guest list was another challenge. We wanted to include everyone important to us while also keeping the event intimate. Compromises had to be made, but in the end, we were happy with the mix of family and close friends who would share our special day. As the months flew by, we met with vendors, tasted cake samples, finalized the menu, and selected music playlists. It was a whirlwind of decision-making and excitement, with occasional moments of stress and doubt. One of the most memorable parts of the planning process was designing our wedding invitations. We wanted them to be elegant yet personal, so we worked with a talented designer to create custom invitations that reflected our love story. As the wedding day approached, there were inevitable moments of nerves and jitters. Did we forget anything? Would everything go smoothly? But we leaned on each other for support, knowing that no matter what, the day would be a beautiful celebration of our love and commitment to each other. Looking back, the wedding planning journey was challenging at times, but it brought us closer together and taught us valuable lessons about teamwork and compromise. In the end, seeing our vision come to life on our wedding day made it all worth it. When our wedding day finally came, I woke up with a mix of excitement and nervousness swirling in my stomach. I got ready. I was surrounded by my bridesmaids and family. I couldn't help but feel grateful for their love and support. The hours flew by in a blur of laughter, tears, and heartfelt moments as we prepared for the ceremony. When the time came to put on my wedding dress, I felt a rush of emotions. Looking at myself in the mirror, I couldn't believe this day had arrived. The dress was perfect, and I felt like a princess ready to meet her Prince Charming. As I walked down the aisle with my father by my side, I locked eyes with Jason, and everything else faded away. The love and happiness in his eyes mirrored my own, and I knew in that moment that we were meant to be together. The ceremony was beautiful, filled with heartfelt vows, music, and readings that reflected our love story. Our family and friends surrounded us, sharing in our joy and celebrating our union. After exchanging rings and sharing our first kiss as husband and wife, we walked back down the aisle together, hand in hand, beaming with happiness. The reception was a whirlwind of dancing, laughter, and love as we celebrated with our guests. One of the most memorable moments of the day was our first dance as a married couple. As we swayed to our favorite song, Lost in Each Other's Arms, I felt like the luckiest woman in the world to have Jason as my partner for life. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of joy and celebration. From cutting the cake to heartfelt speeches and toasts, every moment was filled with love and happiness. After our wedding, we had a beautiful honeymoon, which my parents generously paid for as a wedding gift. Jason and I returned home feeling like we were on cloud nine. Our marriage was thriving, filled with love and intimacy, and we made sure to have regular date nights to keep the romance alive. Everything seemed perfect until I found out I was pregnant. At first, it was a delightful surprise. We were overjoyed at the thought of starting a family together. We started planning for our future with our little one on the way, eagerly awaiting the arrival of our son, whom I'm going to call Vic for the sake of privacy. As the months went by, my pregnancy progressed smoothly, and Jason was incredibly supportive throughout. We decorated the nursery, attended parenting classes, and eagerly anticipated the day when our family would officially expand. Our dreams of parenthood were coming true, or so I thought at the time. My delivery date came and I gave birth, and at first it was all great. But as Vic grew and became a lively part of our lives, I noticed a shift in Jason's behavior. While he loved playing with Vic and being the fun, cool dad, he seemed to shy away from the responsibilities of parenting. Diaper changes, bath times, feeding, all of it fell on my shoulders alone. Even after multiple discussions and pleas for help, Jason didn't step up. It became apparent that he enjoyed the spotlight of being a good father when we had guests or family around. He would make an effort to engage with Vic and act like the perfect dad, but as soon as they left, he reverted to his old habits of leaving everything to me. I confronted him about this discrepancy, expressing my frustration and exhaustion at handling everything on my own. He apologized and promised to change, but unfortunately his words didn't translate into action. The cycle continued, and it started making me feel overwhelmed and increasingly resentful towards Jason's lack of involvement in parenting duties. However, as Vic reached the age of 2, a new challenge arose in our lives. Jason made a sudden decision to quit his job without consulting me beforehand. This came as a shock since we typically split all our bills and expenses evenly. When I confronted him about his abrupt resignation, he gave me vague excuses about hating his workplace and needing a change. Wanting to be a supportive wife, I encouraged him to find another job and assured him that I would manage the bills in the meantime. However, as weeks passed by, Jason still hadn't secured a new job. I found myself shouldering the financial responsibilities alone. I was really grateful that our home was a gift from my parents, and that spared us the burden of rent, so all I had to pay were bills. Despite Jason claiming that he was actively job hunting, it became evident that Jason was not putting in the effort. He spent most of his time gaming and neglecting household chores. I couldn't even rely on him to take care of Vic, let alone babysit him for short periods. His lack of contribution led me to hire a babysitter even when he was at home, as I couldn't trust him to prioritize our son's well-being. The stress of juggling work, finances, and household responsibilities started weighing heavily on me. As time went on, Jason's distance from both me and our family grew more pronounced. Our intimacy dwindled, and I could feel the strain weighing heavily on our relationship. Confronting him about his laziness and lack of involvement only led to more excuses and deflection on his part. It reached a point where I found myself actively avoiding him within our own home. One day, after dropping Vic off at my parents' house for some much-needed help, I returned home from work expecting to find Jason there. However, he was nowhere to be seen. a habit he had developed recently without informing me of his whereabouts. I had my suspicions that he was cheating on me, but I was too exhausted from shouldering the household responsibilities to dwell on it too much. Hours turned into days, and Jason still hadn't returned home. I couldn't file a police report as it hadn't been 24 hours yet, so I resorted to calling him repeatedly. Each attempt went unanswered, with no response to my text messages either. Concern turned to worry, and worry to fear for his safety. After a few days of his absence, I decided to involve the authorities and filed a missing persons report. It was then that Jason finally responded to my messages, belittling me for taking such action and insisting that he was safe, but just didn't want to return home. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. My husband had ghosted me and had left me in a state of confusion, hurt, and abandonment. For weeks, I was in a fog of confusion and deep sadness. My husband had ghosted me, leaving behind a painful revelation that he was with another woman and had no intention of coming back. He had told me that he was staying with his mistress and that he would be sending divorce papers, and that hit me like a ton of bricks. I felt numb, lost, and unsure of how to navigate this sudden turn of events. Thankfully, my mom came to stay with me during this tumultuous time. Her presence and support were a lifeline, especially in caring for Vicky. Without her, I don't know how I would have coped. In those initial weeks, I drifted between numbness and profound sadness. However, a realization slowly dawned on me. Maybe this was for the best. Jason's betrayal made it clear that he wasn't the person I thought he was, and perhaps it was better to be rid of him. Strangely, my financial burden decreased significantly after he left, allowing me to focus more on taking care of myself and Vic. I made the decision to sign the divorce papers when they arrived. It was a symbolic closure to a chapter I never expected to end this way. I started therapy and it became my refuge, helping me process the whirlwind of emotions and rebuild myself. Vic, too, was affected by the absence of his father. It was a confusing time for him, but I did my best to provide comfort and stability despite the upheaval. When the divorce papers finally arrived, I didn't hesitate to sign them. It was liberating to see that Jason had waived any claim to custody and expressed no desire to see Vicky. It was a clear sign that cutting ties with him was the right decision for both me and my son. After sending back the signed papers, I never heard from Jason again. And strangely, that silence brought a sense of peace and closure that I desperately needed. After Jason vanished from our lives, I decided it was time to focus on myself. I landed a better job with a nice pay raise, which meant I could afford a new car and luxuries. I also hit the gym regularly, shedding the stress weight and feeling better about myself. After I had my son and Jason quit his job, I just let myself go because I was so busy trying to provide for my family, I wasn't even thinking about myself. Now that Jason was gone, taking care of my skin and mental health became priorities too. Therapy helped me deal with the emotional fallout, and I started enjoying simple self-care routines. All these efforts paid off. I felt confident and happy again. Vic, my little champ, adjusted surprisingly well despite Jason's absence. He was just a toddler, so I think our stable and loving home helped him through it. Life post-divorce wasn't easy, but I turned it into an opportunity to grow stronger, inside and out. As a year went by, I had convinced myself that dating was off the table. I was content focusing on work and raising Vic. However, fate had other plans when I met Richard, my boss. It felt strange at first, considering my no dating at work policy, but Richard's kindness and charm won me over. We started with casual conversations that quickly turned into daily chats. Our shared interests and easygoing conversations made it hard not to develop feelings for him. Despite my reservations, we began going out outside of work, dinners, movies, and other fun activities. I was cautious about introducing Richard to Vic, wanting to be sure before involving my son. Richard, being understanding, never rushed me into anything. He was just 2 years older and had never been married, making our connection feel even more special. Richard shared with me that he had focused on achieving financial stability during his 20s, which left little room for dating experiences. Despite his success, he admitted to not having much romantic experience. However, I didn't mind his lack of dating history because I genuinely liked him for who he was. As our relationship progressed, I felt comfortable opening up to Richard about my past with Jason and how he had ghosted me and left without a word, sending divorce papers later. Richard was shocked and genuinely apologetic, showing me a level of empathy and understanding that I hadn't experienced before. His reaction further strengthened our bond and made me feel more secure in our budding relationship. On our first date, Richard took me to a cozy Italian restaurant in the heart of the city. The ambiance was warm, with dim lighting and soft music playing in the background. We sat across from each other, sharing stories and laughter over a delicious meal of pasta and wine. Richard was a great conversationalist, asking me about my interests and my life in general. He listened attentively, showing genuine interest in getting to know me better. I found myself opening up to him more than I had expected, feeling comfortable and at ease in his presence. After dinner, we took a leisurely stroll through the city streets, enjoying the cool evening breeze and each other's company. Richard was a gentleman, offering his arm as we walked and making me feel cared for and special. As the night came to an end, Richard walked me to my car, and we exchanged a gentle hug before saying goodnight. I honestly couldn't help but smile as I drove home, feeling excited about the possibility of something special blossoming between us. On our second date, Richard surprised me with tickets to a live jazz performance at a local club. I was thrilled as jazz music is one of my favorites, and I appreciated his thoughtful gesture. We arrived at the club and found a cozy table near the stage. The atmosphere was lively, with the smooth tunes of jazz filling the air. Richard and I chatted between sets, discussing everything from music to travel and life aspirations. During one particularly soulful performance, Richard reached for my hand, and we shared a quiet moment listening to the music. It was a simple yet intimate gesture that made me feel a strong connection with him. After the jazz session, we walked around the city streets, enjoying the vibrant nightlife. Richard shared stories from his travels, and I shared some of my favorite spots in the city. We laughed and joked, and it felt so special. A few months into dating, I felt it was the right time for Richard to meet Vic, my son. I was nervous yet hopeful, hoping they would get along well. When Richard met Vic, it was like magic. Vic warmed up to him instantly, and Richard was so kind and attentive to him. They bonded over simple things like playing games, reading books, and going on little adventures together. Seeing them interact and form a genuine connection filled my heart with joy and relief. Richard showed genuine interest in Vic's interests and hobbies, and Vic adored spending time with him. It was a beautiful sight to see, and it reassured me that Richard was not just someone I was dating, but potentially a significant part of our lives. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day, and I couldn't be happier seeing them both happy and content in each other's company. After 2.5 years of dating, Richard proposed to me, and I happily accepted. We were both over the moon with excitement and started planning our dream wedding. It was going to be a beautiful celebration of our love, surrounded by our closest family and friends. My parents were thrilled that I had found happiness again. They could see how much Richard cared for me, and they welcomed him into our family with open arms. My friends were also ecstatic for us, showering us with love and support as we embarked on this new chapter together. Despite the joyous occasion, the shadow of my past with Jason still lingered. No one had heard about what happened between us, but it didn't matter anymore. I had moved on, and Richard was my present and future. We dove into wedding planning with enthusiasm, choosing the perfect venue, selecting the most exquisite decorations, and creating a guest list that included everyone who mattered to us. It was shaping up to be a truly beautiful and memorable day. As the wedding date approached, I couldn't help but feel a sense of peace and contentment. Richard had brought so much happiness into my life, and I was grateful for every moment we shared together. The past was behind me, and the future looked bright and promising. As Richard and I prepared for our wedding, he suggested that we move in together. After careful consideration, I agreed, knowing that it would bring us closer and make our bond even stronger. So I packed Vic's and I belongings and moved into Richard's beautiful home. His house was everything I could have dreamed of and more. It had a cozy ambiance filled with warmth and love. Vic quickly adjusted to his new surroundings, delighted by the space and the new adventures that awaited him. With my own house now vacant, I decided to rent it out. It became a source of passive income for me, which I started saving in a separate account. My goal was to build a college fund for Vic's future, ensuring that he would have the best education possible when the time came. Living with Richard brought us even closer together. We shared everyday moments, from cooking meals together to relaxing evenings on the couch. Our relationship blossomed, and I knew in my heart that I had made the right decision to move in with him. I was now even thankful for the fact that Jason had left me. On the day of our wedding, everything felt surreal and magical. The sun was shining brightly, casting a golden hue over the venue, as if nature itself was celebrating our union. The air was filled with excitement and anticipation, tinged with a touch of nervousness and joy. As I walked down the aisle in my elegant white gown, adorned with delicate lace and shimmering beads, my heart raced with emotions. Richard stood at the altar looking dashing in his tailored suit, his eyes filled with love and adoration as he watched me approach. The ceremony was a beautiful blend of heartfelt vows, exchanged rings, and promises of a lifetime together. Our families and friends surrounded us, sharing in our happiness and blessing our union with their love and support. After we exchanged our vows and were pronounced husband and wife, we sealed our commitment with a tender kiss, which ignited a wave of applause and cheers from our loved ones. LOL. It was a moment of pure bliss, knowing that we were embarking on a new chapter of our lives together. The reception was a lively celebration filled with laughter, music, and dancing. We shared heartfelt speeches, toasted to our love and future, and enjoyed delicious food and drinks with our guests. Our wedding day was a dream come true, a day filled with love, laughter, and cherished memories that we would carry with us for the rest of our lives. After our magical wedding, Richard and I embarked on a dreamy honeymoon that exceeded all our expectations. We traveled to a picturesque destination, surrounded by stunning landscapes and serene beaches. It was a time of pure bliss and romance, where we enjoyed each other's company without any worries or distractions. Returning home, we settled back into our life together, filled with love and happiness. A year after our wedding, our relationship was stronger than ever. We made sure to have date nights every week, nurturing our connection and keeping the spark alive. Our intimacy was amazing, and our bond continued to deepen with each passing day. One of the most beautiful aspects of our life together was the relationship between Richard and Vic. Richard embraced his role as a father figure with warmth and love, and Vic adored him in return. Their bond grew stronger with time, and Vic started to see Richard as his dad, which filled my heart with joy and gratitude. However, a month or two ago, our peaceful life was interrupted by a message from one of our tenants. They informed me that a man had come looking for me and Vic, mentioning that he was given my number. I immediately knew it must be Jason, my ex-husband. While I was initially angry that they had given him my contact information, I understood that he would have found a way to reach out regardless. This unexpected encounter with Jason stirred up mixed emotions in me. On one hand, I was grateful for the life I had built with Richard and the happiness we shared. On the other hand, seeing Jason's persistence reminded me of the past and the challenges I had overcome. It was a reminder of how far I had come, and I was also worried about what the hell Jason wanted. About 2 days after receiving the message from the tenant about Jason's visit, I received another message from my usual number. It was evident that it was Jason trying to reach out, so I chose not to respond and ignored the messages. However, he persisted, bombarding me with apologies, pleas to talk, and promises to explain everything. His messages ranged from expressing regret to sharing various stories and excuses. As the messages kept coming, Jason escalated to relentless calls, which I also ignored. I immediately informed Richard about the situation, and he advised me to hear Jason out, to listen to what he had to say. Honestly, it was Richard's suggestion that made me consider giving Jason a chance to explain. If it weren't for him, I would have likely blocked Jason or continued to ignore him altogether. With Richard's support, I finally replied to Jason's messages and asked him what he wanted. He expressed his apologies and expressed a desire to meet in person to talk things through. He claimed that he could explain everything and that it had been a while since we last spoke. He even inquired about Vic's well-being, which caught me off guard. Initially hesitant, I decided to agree to the meeting, but with conditions. I informed Jason that I would be accompanied by my husband, Richard, and that we would meet in a public place. To my surprise, Jason was shocked to hear that I was married and asked when I had gotten married. I firmly told him that it was none of his business, and he eventually agreed to the meeting with Richard present. We agreed to meet in a popular cafe in 2 days' time, ensuring a neutral and familiar environment. Despite feeling nervous about the upcoming meeting, I was also curious to hear what Jason had to say after all this time. 2 days after, and the time finally came, we finally headed out to meet Jason. My nerves were on edge, mixed with a bubbling anger at the thought of him disrupting the peace I had worked so hard to achieve. Richard, always the calm presence, reassured me and suggested we listen to what Jason had to say before leaving. Upon arriving at the cafe, Jason was already there, looking disheveled and worn out. I couldn't help but feel a slight sense of satisfaction seeing him in such a state, considering the turmoil he had caused in my life. He seemed surprised at my appearance, clearly not expecting me to look as well as I did. It was a testament to the positive changes I had made in my life since he left. As we sat down, Jason's demeanor turned sour, especially towards Richard, which I found somewhat amusing given his own actions. He started with apologies, begging for forgiveness, and expressing regret for everything he had done. He apologized to both me and Vic, but I had long forgiven him and told him so. His surprise at my forgiveness quickly turned into a request for us to reconcile. I couldn't help but burst into laughter at the absurdity of his request. I made it clear that I had moved on and was happily married to Richard. Jason seemed genuinely taken aback, unable to believe that I had truly moved on. I reminded him of the pain he had caused by ghosting me, and his request to get back together seemed even more ludicrous. I laughed at the irony of his plea, telling him that I couldn't believe he had the audacity to ask after everything that had transpired. During our meeting, Jason continued to plead, reminding me of the good times we had shared. However, I firmly brought him back to reality by recounting the pain and betrayal he had caused when he abandoned me without a word. It felt like a huge disrespect for him to reminisce about our past in front of my husband Richard, who was my present and future. Despite my anger and disbelief at his audacity, I couldn't help but be curious about what had happened in his life during the years he was gone. When I asked about his mistress, he shared a pitiful story of being used and taken advantage of for years. He explained that he had taken on the role of caring for her children, though they weren't his own biological kids. It was shocking to hear, and I couldn't help but wonder about the complexity of his situation. Jason revealed that his mistress had cheated on him multiple times and had now moved on with someone else, and that she was kicking him out, which had now left him in a vulnerable and desperate state. It became clear that he needed help, but I knew that I couldn't be the one to provide it. Despite everything, I had moved on and built a new life for myself and Vic with Richard by my side. I told Jason that I couldn't offer him the support he sought, and that he needed to figure things out on his own. After I made it clear that I couldn't offer Jason the support he wanted, he grew increasingly angry and started raising his voice. He blamed me for not fighting hard enough for him when he left, insisting that I should have searched for him. It was absurd considering he was a grown man responsible for his own actions. Now that he was facing the consequences, he was trying to shift the blame onto others. He demanded shared custody of Vic, but I firmly refused, reminding him that he had willingly given me sole custody in the divorce papers. I pointed out that he didn't even have a stable living situation, given that his mistress was kicking him out. How could I trust him with Vic if he couldn't even provide a stable environment? Jason's anger escalated, and it seemed like he was on the verge of a tantrum, so Richard and I took Vic and left. Thankfully, Richard stayed calm and didn't intervene. He respected me enough to let me handle the situation on my own, for which I was grateful. Jason's attempts to contact me afterward were futile as I blocked him from reaching out. He tried reaching out to my parents and friends, but they all stood by me and refused to entertain him. In the end, Jason was left alone, facing the consequences of his actions without anyone to turn to for support. Don't cheat people. It is absolutely not worth it.